The Raptors can't get it done against the Boston Celtics. 117-94 is your final. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Leo Rautins, Jevohn Shepherd, and Sherman Hamilton. Guys, for most of the game, it kind of looked like Toronto was playing the back-to-back, not Boston. Jevohn, why do you think that was?
I think it's funny because at the beginning of the game, I thought Toronto came out with the right mentality. They were the ones getting into the paint. It wasn't pretty early. Now the team was making many shots. And Boston just stuck to their game plan. I think they're a tough matchup for Toronto, especially with Porzingis. He got off to a good start early. When they run that five-out offense, there's just a number of options for them. And you have three or four guys that are threats from three levels on the court. So I thought they came out, they were intentional. They shot the lines off the basketball. And the thing with them is they're not an imposing team, but they continue to play through contact on both ends of the floor. So you got to tip your hat to them for, a tremendous game.
Hey, Randy, hold on.
Yeah.
How do you take anything seriously from a guy who's already got his Christmas stuff up? Come on.
Listen.
Come on, man.
Listen. I had no say in the matter. I came back home, happy wife, happy life. It's good.
Oh, man.
I was going to say, Jevohn, as soon as Halloween ends, you're right into it. Okay, that's where we're going then.
I had no say in the matter, man. I just show up.
Okay.
Sure. What do you think the Celtics were doing defensively to kind of take away offensive weapons that the Raptors have?
Well, they're a tough defensive team, period. And I'm the type of person that talks about it all the time. The point of attack defensively can really set the tone for the layers of defense behind the ball. And Jrue Holiday is one of the best in the league at defending the ball. You put him at the point of attack, and all of a sudden your layers behind when you have Jaylen Brown, you have Jason Tatum's length, and then you throw a Kristaps Porzingis and his ability to protect the rim. He might not be an intimidating defender, but by the time you get to him, you've put in some real work to get to the front of the rim. So I just think defensively, this is what they can be with Jrue Holiday at the point guard spot. Mm-hmm. And I think offensively, they put even more pressure on you with the way that they can score as well. So I just think that the connection they had, the physicality they played with, the ability to match up size-wise with the Raptors as well on their positions, especially on the wing, that really helped the Celtics. And they're going to be a tough team to deal with. And this is not an easy team for the Raptors to match up with, especially if they're going to play possession basketball and not get out in transition, not turn them over, not open up the court and create some free basketball play. It's a tough half-court defense to score on.
Leo, I was talking to Celtics beat reporter Abby Chin on Friday, and she said that Jrue Holiday guarded Joel Embiid, started on Embiid when they played the Sixers. And I saw him today guarding Siakam. I saw him today guarding
that was
Scotty
for 20
Barnes.
possessions, Randy. 20 possessions, and Joel Embiid scored apparently on 2 of those possessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's impressive.
This is crazy. Yeah, he completely changes the complexion of this team. Would you agree with that, Leo?
100%. I mean, you think, teams bring in players, but you bring in 2 players to the Celtics team that make Brown and Tatum better. All right. They take the pressure off. They allow them to do what they do. And now you talk about what they add, the layers of defense, the rim protection, the offense. It all comes together in a big way with this group right now. I tell you what, Milwaukee's going to regret not having Jrue Holiday. Everybody talks about them being a contender. They're not a contender. And part of that reason is Holiday's here in Boston. But, the other thing, too, is you look at the approach of the Raptors. I thought they approached like Dallas. People say Dallas is a good team. Dallas is off to a great start this season, right? They were undefeated at home. Raptors came in like they didn't respect them at all. Went at them physically, just attacked them. They came in here, and it's like, whoa, it's Boston. Mm-hmm. And, part of that's the Raptors, part of it is Boston. And, you can't approach a game like this that way. And granted, you're at the end of a road trip. It's been a long trip, not necessarily one that players are used to with, games being spread out the way they were. But you can't approach a team as good as Boston if you're not going to attack them. And that's at both ends. Defensively, you got to lay the wood on them. And offensively, you got to look for contact. And, you mentioned Holiday. I mean, how many times, Pascal didn't even want to go in, didn't want to go at him. Credit to Holiday, but I don't care who you are. Pascal's got to attack.
Mm-hmm. Jevohn, obviously Boston has these elite wing players in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Is there anything that you were noticing that you think Toronto could have maybe changed defensively or done a little bit better defensively on those two guys?
Well, for one, you got to take away those guys' space, right? Because again, they play through contact. They'll put the ball on the floor. They'll get to the rack. They can finish at the rim. But they shot the three ball so well. You got to make them uncomfortable, and that starts before they even have the basketball in their hands, right? Defense, especially with guys that can score prolific scores like that, you got to do your work early and really be physical, really get into those lanes and make it difficult for them and frustrate them. Again, you credit Boston, tremendous offensive team, a tremendous defensive team. But to Leo's point, I felt like the Raptors over the course of this game just didn't have that same, respect for their opponent, right? And they were a bit too casual. And once a team like that gets rolling, then it's hard to really stop them. But, if you come out, you're aggressive, you're tough, you're gritty, and you force some turnovers, get some deflections, get yourself out on the offensive end and run, get some easy baskets, then you get a little bit more momentum on the defensive side. They just didn't have that.
Yeah, sure. And that's a big thing, right? Like you don't see your three ball go down. You don't see some of the chippies go down. And all of a sudden your defense kind of lags a little bit, but that's something you don't want to see as a coach. But we kind of saw that tonight, don't you think?
Well, and I don't think the Raptors played the brand of basketball that they have success playing. I mean, I think they only had 12 fast break points. They didn't really get out and turn the Celtics team over and get some easy looks at the basket in transition. That, to me, is when you have the Raptors playing at their optimum level where their defense can create some offense. And that's the difference when you play a more elite team that's going to really take care of the ball, that's going to be able to score in the half court, going to be able to force you into tough situations. It's about imposing your will. And the Celtics are a team of that caliber that can impose their will, and the Raptors weren't able to respond. It's a lesson. You learn. You face a quality team. You figure it out. You're going to see them again soon, so you better correct some things. But I just think that if the Raptors aren't in transition, Scotty Barnes running the floor, activity, Pascal filling the lanes, these guys pushing the ball, spreading the floor out, guess what? In the half court, those three-point shots become a bit more difficult. They're more contested, and maybe aim it a little bit too much. It just becomes a more difficult proposition, possession by possession in the half-court offense.
Leo, did you see any positives that you think could, be helpful going forward here? They got 4 games at home coming up.
Well, I think the positives is, for the road trip, you got better, right? The road trip, a lot of good things happen on this road trip, and you want to build from that. And a game like this, hey, the great thing about the NBA, you're going to play these guys on Friday, right? You're going to have a chance to come right back at them, and it's going to be fresh in your mind. Yes, you got Milwaukee in the middle, and Milwaukee's going to be looking for a little revenge, for the last time they came to Toronto. But, it's a good week for the Raptors to get over this game and take the positives from the road trip. Coming into this game, people were saying a lot of good things, and you were getting a really good vibe from this team. So you got to get back to that vibe. And like Sherm said, realize who you are. For the Raptors to play, a good part of what they do has to come off their defense. They got to be intense. They got to attack. And when they play that way, they're a different team. They weren't that team tonight.
Jevohn, any thoughts on Boston calling for that challenge? Up by 27, 3.5 to go. Is this going to carry over here into Friday night, the next time these two teams match up?
It has to carry over. Now, I'll say this. If the Raptors were up, I would have loved that, because I think you train. It's about being intense. You're training for Coach Mazzulla. You're training these guys to be killers, right? Eat or be eaten, kill or be killed. And that's a team that had an early exit in playoffs last year. So he knows the guys in his locker room. It's just about training them to be tough, consistent, playing that level of intensity. Now, obviously, if you're on the opposing end like the Raptors were, you remember that, right? So when you see them next Friday, that's the starting point of this game, is remembering that challenge right there.
Sherm, are you one of those guys that looks at that? Like, if you're on the floor, you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to remember that? Or are you just like, whatever, big deal, no big deal?
No, I look at it from a macro perspective. There are things that the Raptors need to correct, and they need to get figured out as the season rolls on. And I think that focusing on things like that for motivation can be distracting at this point in the season. Plus, it's not like they're facing the Celtics their very next game. They've got some games in between of some competition that they've got to deal with. So when they get back to the Boston game, maybe they want to use it. I just think there are more things and more important things for them to focus on than trying to figure out revenge on a challenge late in the game.
Leo doesn't agree, right, Leo? Yeah.
Get mad at the 45 minutes prior to.
Thank you. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Leo, the in-season tournament is underway. $500,000 per player money prize for the winning team. What extra benefit do you see this tournament offering for fans?
None for me. I'm not getting any money out of it, so it's not helping me any. But you know what? I think for the NBA, it's everybody here played in Europe, so that was a big thing in Europe. And so the NBA stole that from Europe, and you're trying to add a little something. So you got the courts, right? You're going to the arena. Fans are going to walk in to see this new court, so it's a little something extra for a Tuesday and Friday, right? Players get a little incentive to spark things up a little bit. So I think it's good. I think it's good for the fans. I think it's good for the players. And the best thing about it, you're not adding games. For us that played in Europe, it was another game, right? It was more games, which actually wasn't bad in Europe because you had more practice. But over here in the NBA, you don't want more games, right? It's happening within the structure that you already have. And if you go to the finals, you play one more game. So I like it. I think it's going to be good.
Jevohn, did you like it playing in Europe? And Leo, thank you for bringing me into that. We all played in Europe conversation.
Well, I didn't mean you. I was talking about the guests.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, listen, Randy.
Did you play, Randy, at all?
To the point that you were eliminated.
All right.
To Leo's point, once you were eliminated and you had
seconds.
practices, that's when we hated it. But I love it. Give me something extra to play for, more incentive.
All right. Great stuff as always, Leo. We'll talk. Next game for the Raptors, Monday at home against the Washington Wizards. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. After the game, come on by Real Sports. Be a part of the show. Watch Leo eat. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.